It's like, well, I'm living a spiritual life. And they're like, well, how do you do that? Don't you like have to go off to a cave or a monastery or hide out in the mountains someplace, you know, to live a spiritual life? And I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. You can if you want to. Anywhere you go, you can live a spiritual life. Because first and foremost, you are spiritual beings. Each and every one of you is already spiritual, whole, perfect, and complete in that idea of the wholeness and the oneness. And you have the experience of this thing called human physical form. The form, the body. This is the vehicle by which we transport ourselves, travel around on this planet Earth. But it is not everything and all of who we are. And so I've had the experience that comes with the position that I've had to facilitate a couple of memorial services over the last couple of weeks. And this always brings me to the awareness that the physical body is just a temporary housing. It's kind of like my wardrobe. You know that during the seasons, my wardrobe changes. You know, or when I'm moving or traveling someplace else, my wardrobe changes. As I go about my daily human experience in the physical form, my wardrobe changes and matches according to what I need in the time and the place. And if I don't have the right wardrobe, like when we left here to go to our summer conference in Monterey, we were in t-shirts and shorts, and it was 118 degrees, and we arrived there and it was like 61 degrees, and we were in t-shirts and shorts. The wardrobe didn't work. So we had to, you know, adapt. We had to bring on some other layers. We had to do some different things. That's the way we do in life. When you are born into this experience, you don't have all of the fears that people have as they go through life and they begin to accumulate and achieve and bring these into, you know, their collection of what they want to carry around with them. We call this your baggage. Sometimes it's your story. Sometimes it's the way you present yourself to others. So when someone says, you know, well, tell me a little bit about you. Oh, you wouldn't want to know about me. My life is so sad. So sad. You know, that's your story. That's what you are affirming. That's the wardrobe you have brought out. I don't know why we do this, but we do. Maybe someplace we got a little bit of compassion, or we got a little bit of sympathy, and we thought, well, this works. Maybe I could get some more. If I keep playing this role, I'll get some more. And pretty soon, you know, you just start finding yourself all crumpled up into this story about how sad your life is. Who's responsible for that? You are. You're creating it so you can change it. And the way we change it is we move out of those places of fear and we bring in love, because wherever love is brought in, fear vanishes. A perfect example of that, a metaphor of doing that, is like light and dark. If this room was totally sealed off and everything was turned off, and there weren't any blinking candles, lights, anything, and it was just absolutely dark, If you brought out your cell phone, that little light on your cell phone would illuminate the room. That's how powerful light is. And we talk about light in that spiritual sense, that awakening of the consciousness. That if your mind is shut off, closed down, blackened out, the shutters are closed, all of the space under the doorways is blocked off. It's totally dark. You don't want to see anything. You don't want to know anything. You don't want to change anything. You want to stay in your place. You are choosing to stay there in the darkness. But once the mind has been illuminated, once the mind has awakened, it's like a rubber band. Once you stretch it, it never goes back to its original shape. It always remains in that flexible way. Unless you just start cramping it back down, letting it dry up and shrivel and crack and break and die away. Choose to live your life fully each and every day by bringing more light and more love into every experience. Look at the places that show up as fear. Now, some of you are going to say, oh my gosh, I can't look at that, because if I look at that, it'll bring more on. Only if you choose that. But if you don't identify where the fear is in your life, you can't bring love to that place in order to change it. You have to know where it is so that you can change it and illuminate it and bring it into something that is more magnificent. Now, here's the acronym for fear that I have learned some long time ago, and I use this all the time. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Very subtle. Sometimes our fear is right in our face. You're standing in the middle of the freeway, semi-truck's coming at you. Fear. I'm scared. I know it. I can already tell you what the outcome is. Sometimes fear is this very subtle reality. It's false evidence. We have convinced ourselves that it's too hot in the desert to be here in August, so we all want to run away. What if we changed our attitude and began to embrace and embody what the desert brings to us? And then we would realize, well, you know, I have an air-conditioned car in an air-conditioned garage, and I live in an air-conditioned house. I drive to an air-conditioned store. It's like, what's the difference between that and living in Iowa, where you have to shovel snow and put on more clothes than you could possibly move in order to get from place to place because it's cold? It's just different. But we create a perception, and so out of that we create a very subtle fear, some false evidence that this is the way it's going to be. So some of the false evidence that we use, and I try not to get political, but this is where it shows up. And we're in that season. It's politics, and they're all doing it. Trust me, they're all doing it. But listen to them, not from a sense of what are they saying or not saying, but what are they saying that is false evidence appearing real. To them, whoever them is, you know, it's anybody but me. Yeah. It's their reality. And their reality is real. When we face some pain or suffering in our belief, in our science of mind, we suggest that you want to turn away from the condition. We're not denying that the condition is real. It's real to you in the moment to the degree at which you hold on to it. and accept it.